Zelensky's not a good man. I just want to get that out there right now, okay? We've seen this ever since all this stuff started to take off in February of this year. And it's like, okay, cool. Could have averted it. Could have gotten some peace talks done, you know, like Putin and everybody else was like, hey, I'll host it. Okay, we'll just go down there to Turkey. We'll just talk this stuff out. It could have been done and dusted within a couple of months, but then, oh no, the money machine out west just started to go burr, and this train ain't slowing down anytime soon. I mean, take a look at this stunning and brave, I guess, combat frontline Pikachu dance. I don't even know what the hell that is, okay? Yeah. They're posting this propaganda, the defense of Ukraine, okay? It's an entire account and stuff like that. They have the audacity, okay? Because what's the first thing that comes to mind whenever you see something that's stupid, okay? I just remember TikTok dances of a bunch of heroes that are out there on the front lines, okay? While you weren't allowed to spend the final moments of a loved one at their hospital bed, you had to be outside, okay? You had to be inside of a hazmat suit on the other side of a screen. Okay, well, that person passes away. Your mother, your father, your aunt, your uncle, your grandmother, your grandfather, okay, they had to die alone in a fucking bed while the other people could be out there. The nurses and the doctors, okay, making their fucking TikTok dances. Okay, Ukraine, man, they're moments away from a nuclear holocaust, basically, but they have the ability to, in a very, you know, lovely choreographed dance that they have there with the nice pink mittens, of course, and a very clean battle uniform that I'm sure hasn't been bought and paid for by the United States government. You just have the audacity to post that out there and think that that is, I don't know, like some sort of a morale booster. Okay, I'll leave it to Tate to just break it down here for a second. She's on the front line right now, and not an actor psyop convincing men that there will be cuties at war instead of death. Didn't think of that angle, but fair enough. She certainly didn't go home to go home to the warm directly after this. Guess all those videos of men dying in freezing mud are fake. Look how clean her uniform is. Yeah, that's what I noticed first and foremost. It's like, that's just basically right out of the fucking back of the Humvee right there. It's just, oh man, we didn't bring gloves. Oh, you already brought gloves. No, that's all great and fantastic. Okay. That's what they're putting out there, okay? That's supposed to make you feel big sad for Ukraine. Like, I'm a quarter Ukrainian, okay? My great-grandparents on my mother's side, okay? My maternal great-grandparents, they come straight over from Ukraine, okay? Okay, and I've actually been to quite a few Ukrainian Orthodox churches, okay, for weddings, funerals, okay, and got to see the big stinky fucking swingy gimmick with the smoke and the for some burials, and it's like all of that shit is fucking weird, but you know, that's your own thing. They're big in these parts, okay? Especially in Alberta. If you are up here, you've seen a hell of a lot of Ukrainian Orthodox churches around, okay? This isn't a fringe sect of Christianity. This is a legit religion. So Zelensky urges lawmakers to ban Moscow-linked Ukrainian Orthodox Church. Wait, what? Like I said at the beginning, Zelensky is one of the biggest authoritarians right now, just being able to run roughshod over his country. Talked about it a couple of different times, and we're just going to go ahead and nicely and concisely detail all of the different things that he has banned while his country has been under attack, and while he's been posing for pictures with politicians from around the world, celebrities that go down there, just telling him to fight the good fight. It's so weird that he has these little blotches of time to sneak out political videos. Normally he's just recording something so it can be shown at an award ceremony so everybody can stand up and clap with their, you know, blue and yellow ribbons on their lapels. Fucking yuck. On Thursday evening, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky urged lawmakers to pass legislation that would ban the Ukrainian Orthodox Church from the country. What's your justification, bro? Because this seems really sus. A meeting of the National Security Defense Council was held today, a meeting at which we examined numerous facts of the ties of certain religious circles in Ukraine with the aggressor state, Zelensky said in a taped statement. It is necessary to create such conditions in which any figures dependent on the aggressor country will not be able to manipulate Ukrainians and weaken Ukraine from within. The NDSC instructed the government to submit to the Verkhovna Rada a bill on the impossibility of activities and religious organizations affiliated with the centers of influence in the Russian Federation in Ukraine. In addition, the state service on ethnopolitics and the fuck is that a thing? Jesus. And freedom of conscience has been instructed to ensure the religious studies examination of the statute of management of the UOC, that would be the Ukrainian Orthodox Church, or as I'd like to call it, the Russian Ukrainian Orthodox Church, because it's basically run by Saint Putin. I hate it. For the presence of the church canonical connections with the Moscow Patriarchate, whatever, and is necessary, apply the measures provided by the law. According to the New York Times, oh boy, you got Zelensky and the New York Times, great. What kind of a spin can we expect here? Ukrainian officials have suspected that many priests within the church are collaborating with Russia to promote pro-Russia views, well, like freedom and liberty. Zelensky request comes following the November 22nd raid by Ukrainian security services. Oh, great. And a monastery of the caves, a holy site of Orthodox Christians in Kiev. Sorry, what? Now you got the government suppressing religious freedoms, okay, going to a holy site. Okay, and he's the good guy, right? Officials were searching for saboteurs and weapons. Oh, we suspect all church is is super haram. Now I'm mixing the streams and we're just going fucking wild. Ukrainian officials have, as of last month, arrested 33 priests for assisting Russia throughout this country's invasion of Ukraine. Probably by having such fanatical views as, boy, I sure hope that Zelensky can find common ground with Russia, because I really do hate when the electricity goes out all the time, and I'd kind of like for my sons to return home alive for Christmas. That would be wonderful. But it's not the first thing. It's not going to be the last thing that Zelensky has consolidated it on himself, because as an outside observer, he's kind of a narcissist, a bit of a control freak, and definitely an aspiring tyrant. There's no such thing as press freedom in Zelensky's dissent-crushing Ukraine. He has assimilated a whole host of institutions in Ukraine. It's a bit fucking scary. It's things that you don't normally expect to see in a quasi-developed country like Ukraine, because it's, even during his tenure, before the spotlight was stolen by him. Let's just go ahead and call it exactly what it is, because this shit should be fucking over at this point in time. But whatever, regardless. They're going to win any day now. They're just merely a couple of $1 billion away. But don't worry, Joe's sending over, I think, another 20 or something like that. I'll have to check the running total. It's going to be like, I'm going to make like a really off base analogy here, but do you remember those subscriber counts? Okay, there would be those websites like the one that I'm thinking of is the Sub to PewDiePie, back when PewDiePie was the top subscribed to YouTube channel. Okay, and then T-Series was the up and coming at the same time. You'd watch the counters go up. I really hope that there is one also out there for the amount of foreign aid that is coming in from different places from around the world strictly to Ukraine. I'd like, a foreign aid counter, and then also celebrities and high-profile individuals continuing to go over to Kiev. It's a war zone, guys, but it's a really nice place to just go if, say, Ben Stiller needs to hand-deliver a bottle of vodka or something like that. Fucking yuck. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has been lionized by the Western press since the start of the Russian invasion, but in a not-so-distant past, many international human rights organizations and concerned Ukrainians were sounding the alarm on dangerous and anti-democratic patterns of behavior exhibited by the president. On February 3rd, 2021, I think that this predates the invasion, I think, because there was a pretty quick handoff from the Freedom Convoy up here in Canada. It's across the country from me, so it wasn't really terribly close. But a lot of the protesters that went down to Ottawa, they were from Alberta specifically. I think a couple of the organizers were from Alberta, but regardless. Anyways, I think that ended, or it got swiftly suppressed by our own aspiring successful dictator, Trudeau. And then right after that, Russia decided to go live. And then the Freedom Convoy disaster just kind of disappeared into the wind, because that was taking the headlines. And then Zelensky's like, listen, I'll let you finish, but we got one of the biggest invasions that's going down in the 21st century. So see, I can make that reference because Ukraine actually has like Nazis, Azov Battalion is definitely a thing. But yes, February 3rd, 2021. Oh, I thought that was 2022. So yeah, this was definitely before the invasion. My bad. Zelensky enacted sanctions on 3 television stations believed to be affiliated with Viktor Medvedchuk. All right. A leader of the opposition bloc party, critic of Zelensky, and duly elected member of parliament. That sounds sus. Channels were immediately taken off air, including New Zone, all right, which had called Zelensky narrow-minded. Oh, them be fighting words. That's basically an insurrection. And quoted Medvedchuk criticizing the president for reneging on his campaign promise to finding a peaceful solution to the conflicts in eastern Ukraine. Oh, that's when the Donbass region. Okay, you probably heard about that, or maybe you haven't in a while, because they've been trying to leave Ukraine for a hot second and want to actually, get this one, join Russia, because most of them are historically, genetically Russian, so they kind of wanted to go back to their own country of origin and not be stapled to this corrupt Zelensky regime. I don't know, man. It's kind of weird. Zelensky also sanctioned the air travel company used by Medvedchuk and pressured American social media companies such as YouTube, oh wow, to deactivate the accounts of Medvedchuk-affiliated companies, which it ultimately did. Huh, fucking weird. But Putin, probably at around the same time, was like, oh my god, did you see what he did to his political opponent? The guy with the fringe fucking political campaign. I forget his fucking name because he's so goddamn irrelevant. But, oh yeah, Putin's a dictator because somebody did something illegal and got thrown into jail. Meanwhile, Zelensky's a fucking hero for doing things 10 times worse by trying to co-opt the private sector to do his bidding. Justified by Medvedchuk's ties to Putin. Oh wow, these actions were nonetheless widely condemned by international, European, and Ukrainian non-governmental human rights organizations. Free press advocates such as the International and European Federation of Journalists, who collectively represent hundreds of thousands of journalists across 140 countries, jointly denounced the decree, calling it an extrajudicial and politically motivated ban and a blanket attack on press freedom that must be urgently reversed. A division within the United Nations released a statement declaring that the decision had not been made impartially, with impartial authority, and lacked proper justification and proportion. The National Union of Journalists in Ukraine, NUJU, what about the old ones? A group that has been repeatedly condemned, or rather has repeatedly condemned Russia for its invasion of Ukraine, openly criticized the 2021 sanctions, depriving Ukrainian citizens of access to media without a prior trial, and banning of hundreds of journalists and media outlets of their right to work is an attack on the freedom of the freedom of speech. So Zelensky, seeing this pushback, is like, how can I go ahead and get around that? Because I don't want the bad press, okay? I want to have an audience with Nancy Pelosi and her fat, saggy tits. How do I possibly make that happen? Got an idea. Medvedchuk, still a sitting member of parliament at the time, attempted to create a new media organization called First Independent. Sounds like some commie gobbledygook, right? Zelensky dissolved the outlet a few months later. Great! Gross negligence on the part of the Ukrainian law enforcement is addressing retaliation against journalists who become a central issue internationally, and was flagged by U.S. intelligence agencies. Oh wow, have they also had an open investigation since 2019 into the sus activities of Zelensky? Okay, gross negligence by the U.S. State Department in 2021. Oh, they had a report on Ukraine, blamed government inaction in solving crimes for the emergence of the culture of impunity. Government authorities sometimes participated in and condoned attacks on journalists, the report went on, citing allegations that the government prosecuted journalists in retaliation for their work. Yeah, of course, it's unflattering to big, flawed international backlash. On August 20th, 2021, Zelensky passed broad sanctions against various digital media publishers, yet again without parliamentary involvement. Strana, one of Ukraine's largest outlets at the time, with 24 million visits per month, was a primary target of the sanctions. After the primary website address, strana.ua, was cut off, the outlet was forced into another domain, strana.news, which is still forbidden in Ukraine. Strana's viewership dropped more than 94%. Yeah, no, that seems to make sense. Human rights organizations once again found justification of pro-Russian ties uncompelling. Journalistic freedom cohorts at the international and European something journalists, and New Jew once again, issued a shared statement calling the decree an extrajudicial action and lambasted it as a threat to press freedom and blah, blah, blah. All that shit is again. So as you can see, even in the late stages of 2022, this isn't exactly a new ground for Zelensky to just shut down things on the basis of, oh, you're linked to Russia, so we just need to go ahead and get rid of that, okay? Perhaps the most interesting target in August of 2021 sanctions was Anatoly Shariari, a Kiev-born journalist and blogger with a devout Ukrainian fan base who founded a political party in his name in 2019. It's just a touch narcissistic. The party of Shari, whatever, performed relatively well in some localities in Ukraine's 2020 national elections, with several candidates attaining office at the city and regional levels. Hey, congratulations. POS, maybe that's why they don't run with that acronym. Okay, it's among several political parties disbanded by the presidential decree at the start of the Russian war. Remember when he did that? Every other party that's not mine is now illegal and has to go because Russia. A decision upheld by Ukraine's Supreme Court without opportunity for further appeal. We've seen, and it looks like great leader Zelensky did nothing wrong in this situation. It's all Putin's fault. The UN-affiliated organization investigated Zelensky's action against Shiriri and concluded, we'll just call him Cher, is misportrayed by the authorities as a journalist being pro-Kremlin, pro-Putin, pro-Russian Federation. In response to being painted as a Russian sympathizer, Cher said the Ukrainian government comfortably uses such labels against anyone who expresses any criticism. Sound fucking familiar? I have the right to criticize the corruption of the president and the government. Well, now you don't, because I've also consolidated all my power in the media, shut down all the opposing political parties, and now just going to go ahead and shut down the church as well. Local perspective on Zelensky's press relations is provided by a Ukrainian outlet now familiar with many Westerners, the Kiev Independent, whose Twitter following rocketed from 11,400 followers a few weeks before the invasion to now more than 2.2 million, as it provided English speakers around the world with live updates. I wonder who took that video of that stupid dancer out there on the front lines, having been celebrated in Forbes earlier this year for its reports on Russian war crimes and op-eds calling for Western sanctions against Russia. Whatever happened to those criminals on the Ukrainian side that were torturing and beating the Russian soldiers? Because all we've heard about is Russian war crimes without any evidence to back it up. No receipts, no pictures, no videos. But when you actually have Ukrainians doing some fuck shit, nothing ever comes of that, right? Interesting how this is also fucking one-sided. Before the invasion, in January of 2022, the Kiev Independent posted a piece titled, "How Zelensky's administration moves to dismantle press freedom in Ukraine." And now, all of a sudden, pro-Zelensky, yay! How much money are they getting? Condensing the Zelensky presidency in a single sentence, the author wrote, instead of improving its dialogue with the press, Zelensky's government decided to take a more direct route, amplify supporters, and pressure critics into silence. Interesting. Zelensky's not a good dude. Not a good dude at all. He has suppressed the press. Okay. He has disbanded. I'd have to go back and take a look. I'm pretty sure it was all of the news outlets and agencies. He's just created one Ukrainian state propaganda news outlet. Okay. Not like this is a new thought from him. The little manlet decided to do this stuff a year ago. It's almost like he's been planning this fucking stunt. Disbanding political parties. Okay. One seemed to be targeted, and then the other one, just after the invasion. Oh, God forbid we'd have another election or something like that. Somebody might question me. We can't be having that right now, can we? And now, getting rid of the fucking church. No. Guess what? You can come worship Zelensky now. Sound like a good deal? Sound like the United States government, or frankly, every government around the world is really backing the fucking winning politician here in this one? Not saying that you should pick one side over another. I'm just saying, hey man, more truth out there will do the world better, okay? Get it while it's still free, and get it before Zelensky has his foot on the throat of dissenting opinions around the world. So with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.